Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Arjun Chaudhary. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Thursday, the 18th of June. International community pledges $2 billion aid for rebuilding Afghanistan. Bangladesh can achieve 7% GDP in next fiscal, says central bank. And poetry societies encourage budding writers in India. And now for all the details. Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif has said any criticism against the country's troops would be unacceptable. His strong reaction came a day after Pakistan People's Party chief Asif Ali Zardari cautioned the army against overstepping its domain. A report.
Criticism of the army will only help the anti-national elements to destabilize Pakistan, Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif said on Tuesday. He added that the entire country stands with the troops who are engaged in a war against the militants. Prime Minister Sharif's statement comes a day after PPP chairperson Asif Ali Zardari lashed out at the army top brass for its interference in administrative matters. In one of the rare outbursts against the country's powerful troops, Zardari claimed that politicians were better suited to run the affairs of Pakistan. He had also threatened to expose the actions of previous army chiefs. Following the criticism, Prime Minister Sharif called off a proposed meeting with Zardari on Wednesday. The government said the talk was postponed after the controversial statement.
एक ऐसे माहौल में जो कल की प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस या गुफ्तगू के बाद पैदा हुआ था, मुनासिब यही है कि ये मुलाकात मौखर कर दी जाए ताकि जो दिल आज़ारी का सबब बना है वो खत्म हो सके.
PPP lawmakers continued their attack against the army inside the parliament on Wednesday. The party said the army was violating its constitutional duty. Party lawmakers also questioned the role of army in Sindh following the National Action Plan and claimed that it was carrying out unwanted interference in the affairs of the PPP-ruled southern province. Zardari's criticism came at a time when many in the political circuit had expressed reservations of the army gaining more administrative control in the aftermath of establishment of military courts. The Pakistan Army, which largely operates independently, has through the years remained virtually unchallenged. It also has a long track record of toppling various democratically elected governments in Pakistan.
Bangladesh's economy is capable of achieving a growth rate of more than 6% despite the recent political turmoil, Central Bank Governor Atiur Rahman has said. He also urged the political parties to put aside the differences and focus on uplifting the economy.
The investment atmosphere of Bangladesh, which had suffered heavily earlier this year due to the nearly 3-month-long opposition-led shutdown, has shown signs of recovery, Bangladesh Bank Governor Atiur Rahman has said.
If we have this window of opportunity which has been created now because of the political stability, certainly the investment will grow in Bangladesh. A lot of foreign direct investment will be coming. Our own investors will be, putting in their efforts, and as a result, we will have a sustainable growth which we are projecting.
Bangladesh had maintained a 6+ GDP for nearly a decade. However, following the prolonged shutdowns this year, the World Bank and the IMF had downgraded the economy projection for the current fiscal to 6% in place of the 7% target of the government. Rahman said the country is capable of touching the 7% growth rate in the next fiscal.
We hope to be in the 7+ paradigm next fiscal. This year we will be achieving 6.5% of growth, and if we can continue this momentum, by the next fiscal we'll easily cross 7+ in a growth paradigm.
Bangladesh, which heavily depends on its ready-made garments export industry, had suffered losses of over $2.2 billion in the 3-month-long blockade which began in January. Following the prolonged strikes, many international retailers had shifted their production to countries including India, China, Cambodia and Vietnam.
International community has pledged a fresh aid of over $2 billion for the reconstruction of Afghanistan. The fund is aimed at improving various sectors of the country, which was marred during the Taliban rule.
International community comprising of 34 donor countries have offered a new aid package of $2.8 billion in an attempt to help in the reconstruction of the war-torn nation. The funds will be spent through Afghanistan Reconstruction Trust Fund or ARTF in the next 3 years. While around $918 million would be spent on incomplete projects, another $918 million would be allocated for new development projects. The remaining $1.2 billion will go to the ordinary budget of the Afghan government. The aid will be spent across different sectors, including agriculture, rural development, social protection, infrastructure and good governance. Administered by the World Bank, ARTF is the single largest source of on-budget financing for the country's development. It was established in 2002 in the aftermath of the fall of the Taliban regime to facilitate coordinated financing mechanism for Afghanistan. International donors have vowed to help the country in the light of the NATO troops' withdrawal. The Afghan Parliament building is being constructed with the help of India, which is involved in a number of key power and infrastructure projects there. New Delhi had last year also donated Afghanistan's largest national flag in capital Kabul. The world's largest standing Buddhas of Bamyan were restored by a Chinese couple last week by projecting life-sized holograms of the mighty figures in the cavities where they stood for 1,500 years. The 6th century sculptures were destroyed in March 2001 by the Taliban militants who toppled both statues in a crusade to destroy non-Islamic art in Afghanistan. The site, which has for centuries remained a pilgrimage for Buddhists, was revived with the clearance of both the country's governments and the UNESCO.
Muslims across Pakistan are ready to welcome the holy month of Ramzan, which begins on Friday. Despite scorching temperatures and inflation, the faithfuls are keen to observe the religious duties with fervour.
Streets in Pakistan are buzzing with shoppers as the Muslim community is high on preparation for the holy month of Ramzan. In capital Islamabad, hundreds throng the vegetable and fruit markets, browsing for items for the 2 meals of Sehri and Iftar. Fasting during Ramzan is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, and revelers are committed to observing it despite high prices and economic hurdles.
بس روزه را روانه ده ډېر ښه دغه چې د دې احکامات دي چې دا برابر شي او ډېر خوشۍ سره او وضو سره خلک دا روزي ونیسي او مطلب دا دی چې خرچي خو سیوا دي خو الله تعالی د دې رمضان دپاره خصوصي رعایت الله تعالی د مخلوق سره کوي انشاءالله چې دا ډېرې ښکلې به تېرېږي.
Ramzan is the 9th and the holiest month in the Islamic calendar when Muslims exercise self-restraint by abstaining from eating, drinking and smoking from dawn to dusk. Pakistan's Moon Sighting Committee declared that the country would begin observing Ramzan from Friday.
इत्तेफाक के राय से फैसला किया गया कि आज चांद नज़र नहीं आया और यकम रमज़ान अल मुबारक 1436 हिजरी जुम्मतुल मुबारक 19 जून 2015 को होगी.
According to belief, observing Ramzan secures an individual a place in heaven and also brings them face to face with the Almighty on the Day of Judgment.
Hundreds of Afghan and Pakistan nationals who are forced to leave their homeland due to various conflicts are rebuilding their lives in foreign lands. And helping them recover from the troubled past is a game of cricket. Take a look at how the sport is helping them integrate with the new surroundings.
Even as the world is preparing to mark the International World Refugee Day on Saturday, a group of immigrants from Pakistan and Afghanistan have found a new lease of life in Hungary. Many of them have become a part of the national cricket team in the country. The Cricket Association and the United Nations High Commission for Refugees are trying to integrate them to the Hungarian society at the same time to identify their sporting talent.
We were here for the last 3 years working together with the refugees, working hard to get some funds and support so that we can have a team of these young adults who are arriving into the country underage, without parents, without support whatsoever. And we were quite successful with it.
Stanisil Akmal, who migrated to Hungary from Afghanistan, works at a gyro bistro in capital Budapest when he is not playing cricket. Akmal cleared the air surrounding the refugees and said the locals should not see them in bad light.
Usually we didn't do that things that the people did get it in the mind, like we are bad. I don't think so. Yeah, there are some people everywhere. The people there's good, bad, in everywhere country, any country. If you go, you can find good people in bad. But until I'm thinking, we are not that much bad that how the people are thinking about us.
The UNHCR said getting the refugees to play cricket alongside the locals will help them understand each other better.
Part of a worldwide campaign of asking people to get to know a refugee, and this gives them the opportunity to get to know these particular refugees who are making a success of their life in Hungary, who love Hungary and who really want to contribute to Hungary.
Thousands in Afghanistan and Pakistan are forced to flee their homeland every year due to political instability and militancy in the region. Around 50,000 migrants crossed Hungary's borders illegally by the end of May, compared to 43,000 in the whole of 2014.
In the times of instant messages and online portals, the sheer art of writing might seem to be fading away. But a group of enthusiasts are upbeat about keeping the tradition of penning down their thoughts alive. Take a look at how they're doing it.
Squeezed in together in an upscale cafe of capital New Delhi, this group of around 50 people is happy to share their lives in a different way. While some are entrepreneurs, others are engineers. Many come from media or advertising, and some even have independent work profiles. It even includes students and teachers. But one thing binds them together, their love for poetry. The members, who call their group the Poets Collective, aim at reviving the fading art of writing, while encouraging each other to think beyond writing solely in English. Many said Indian languages gave them the liberty to express freely and connect better.
जब हिंदी पोइट्री होती है तो लोग अच्छी तरह से, चाहे वो इंग्लिश जानने वाला भी हो चाहे हिंदी जानने वाला हो, दोनों कनेक्ट कर पाते हैं. लेकिन जब इंग्लिश पोइट्री चलती है तो सिर्फ इंग्लिश जानने वाले ही उससे कनेक्ट कर पाते हैं.
उर्दू जहाँ तक सवाल है, उर्दू हमारे ज़िंदगी में हमेशा से रही है और रहेगी भी, और एक बहुत ही खूबसूरत ज़बान है. आपको किताबों में मिलेगी, आम भाषा में मिलेगी, और गीतों में मिलेगी, नज़्मों में मिलेगी, सब जगह आपको मिलेगी.
The group has people as young as 16 years to as old as 45 years. For the teenaged members, an exposure to different forms of writing encouraged them to pick up pen and take poetry as a hobby.
When as women appreciated beauty, listening to or reading different languages in poetry increases your curiosity to learn about the language. Like, I want to learn about so many Indian languages now after poetry.
Soumya, who came up with the idea to form such a group nearly a year back, said her motive was to help people express through the art of writing.
This group was founded just to keep the soul of poetry intact. That is all that I'm doing. New faces come, new people come, we meet them, collaborations happen, a book is also coming out, but trust me, that's all a byproduct. Till the longest time, it's the same thing that I would want to keep doing.
Poets Collective, which meets once a month, also has some members creative enough to give music compositions out of their writings, making the atmosphere full of singing and merry-making too.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude the top stories once again. International community pledges $2 billion for rebuilding Afghanistan. Bangladesh can achieve 7% GDP next fiscal, says central bank. And poetry societies encourage budding writers in India. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.